Alright, here we are in the first game. First match of our Shadowmoor, and you guessed it, Shadowmoor draft. So a two-lander, but with a Power Fire and Pila. Definitely, I think, worth keeping. So Pila, if you pay 2 and untap, you can add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Power Fire is tap, deals 1 damage to target creature or player. So essentially this means for 1 mana. So our opponent Memory Sluiced us. Demir trying to mill us out. So we play Mountain, pass. So I think instead of the Mud Brawler cohort, we actually go with the Pila. Looks like a simple 1/1 flyer. We'll see if our opponent cares about it at all. Doesn't appear that our opponent does. So I think we actually do this now. Wait for our opponent. Doesn't seem to be doing a lot. Mono swamps, so he might be on the deal damage plan. Okay, so this here is what I'm talking about. So we Power Fire. If he has Scar, this would work for... So now we take out Cinder Bones. 2 to add green. Play a Tattermunge. And then attack for 4. Our opponent is down to 13. Down to 12 if you count the Pila. So Conspire is 6 mana. So for 5 mana, our opponent what is our opponent doing? Can't play the deal damage equal to swamps, which is one of the few reasons you would go mono black. Incremental Blight. That is not particularly good for us, but we get to deal our damage. I don't know for sure. I think the right play there might have actually been to ping our other Tattermunge, because I think if that dies, then Incremental Blight. Yeah, one of the targets wouldn't have, yeah, that was a punt. One of the targets wouldn't have been valid, and so it would have saved our Pila. Didn't think about that, I just acted. Well, that might cost us the game, but we'll see. Murderous Redcap. So it's going to deal 2 damage, I assume, to the Tattermunge. Yeah. Murderous Redcap is a very good card. So our opponent's down to 2. And we are down to 1 card in hand. However, we did just get a Double Strike Trampler, which is probably the best thing ever. If our opponent cannot kill it. Oh, so our opponent just scoops. Okay, so here, didn't really see a lot of what our opponent was doing. Do you want to bring in Crimson Wisps? We already have one. Honestly, I think we just run it back. Can't think of what we really need to sideboard in that our opponent showed at all. Maybe a little more cautious about the incremental blight. But if our opponent is not... That was a slower start for us, actually. We have 5 1-drops. So we have a 1 in 8 chance of drawing one of our 1-drops. And a pretty good chance to start with it, which we didn't. We don't have any bad 1-drops. Well, this is not a keepable hand, unfortunately. I almost kept it, but it is not keepable. So this hand is also very bad. Ugh. Alright, we'll keep this. Down to 5 is not where we want to be, but... Smolder Initiate. Opponent's trying to get the drop on us. Well, we saw 3 very bad hands. Another Smolder Initiate. Opponent's trying to counter what we were doing. Not really going to matter. Especially considering how bad of a start we got in this game. Runes is not really what we wanted to see, but that's what we have. Fortunately, we cannot attack with Mudbrawler Cohort, so we gotta pass. Opponent plays a Suitstoke Kindler. So our opponent is trying to essentially do what we were trying to do. Just play a lot of low-cost creatures and get in damage. So here, I think with another Mudbrawler and then hopefully drawing into something, we can actually race our opponent. Ooh. So we get in for 4. The thing to watch out for is that Suit Still Kindler. If our opponent plays a larger creature and gives it haste, we're in a little bit more trouble. Murderous Redcap. Yeah, I think our opponent just drew perfectly, and we did not. We drew pretty terribly. Starting at 5 just hurt us a lot. So we're going to take 4. If we can get... Ooh, that was good. So they're down to 12. And if we did that one, we'd have 6, 8. So that wouldn't be enough. If we stay in block, he comes in with the red cap or whatever he's got. It'd be 4 plus if he's got a larger creature. Otherwise, if it's just 4, or even if it's just 5. I mean, lose life if he casts a spell. I think we attack with 1. Stops him from just ramming in with those. We have to take the 2, because if this dies, then he can just ping the other one. And that's the exact opposite of what we want. Don't tell me he has 2 murderous red caps. Okay. So just killing our forest. Not really a big deal. So we could really actually just use a land. I mean, poison the well, not really that good in most situations, but it's very good here because the MTGO gods hate us. So, if we had drawn a land, we'd probably have a chance, but now I think we're just dead. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and yeah. Yeah, if we had drawn a land, we'd have a chance. But as it was, we didn't. Yeah, I think we just run it back. I take out these arsonists, put in another suit walker. Maybe the bark shell blessing. We would like to go first. And this looks not super bad. We have some things to do. We have a turn 1 play. Turn 2 play. We're on the play, so this seems fine. It's probably where we want to be, honestly. Good thing about going with mono red is you are not really going to wait around all that much. Managed Forge Cinder. Okay, so we can scar this. Or we can Tattermunge. I think we actually just Tattermunge. And we don't swing in because we want to keep this initiate. That 1 point of damage could be... I'm pretty sure he's just going to trade it off, though. Our opponent is playing a very interesting aggressive deck. So Sootstoke Kindler. That guy we are definitely killing. He did not attack. So... We're going to get in for 3 here. Blowfly Infestation. Our opponent's going to open himself up. There's a Tattermunge Maniac. Well, our opponent is offering. We can't incremental blight next turn. The bad thing about Blowfly Infestation is it's not a May. So if he were to kill all of our creatures, he would be deadzo. And then we play the Mudbrawler Raiders. No. Pass the turn. We got 3 cards. Our opponent definitely doesn't have any shortage of land. So, Runes of the Dais. which is not amazing. I'd rather have a land. We are going to try getting in for 6 here, which is not nothing. I don't have any black flash spells. Any flash creatures. Oh, if he's got incremental blight. Oh, well, that's not so bad. Put a -1/-1. So he might take out this Intimidator Initiate. Ah, so he gets to take out our whole team. Our opponent seems to get lucky. And we seem to get owned. 2 of our major spells, and we drew both of them. Game 1 really went our way. Well, if we can draw a land, then our opponent will be forced to block. Oh my gosh. Alright, well, there's all 3 of our 5 drops when we have 4 land. Thank you, MTGO. Let this be a lesson to you. Even if you draft a really sweet deck, you can just draw shitty, draw terrible, and nothing will ever come of it. So the hope here is that our opponent messes up. They have 1 card left in hand. So I'm gonna get in with this guy. So there's still hope. If we can draw land. Well, not a land, but so I think we still attack. If he wants to double block and then put 1 on this so he can get in, that's fine. Probably should have done this after combat. But if we can kill these, he puts it on this, attacks here, because he might not have attacked. I almost like, yeah, it's probably a punt, but I almost like this better, because he attacks in, thinking he's fine, doesn't play anything. And land. Ugh. If it was land, we would have won. So essentially, we have to watch out for corrupt, polluted bonds. Ugh. We go down to 8. Alright, land. Oh. Ugh. All we wanted was land. So Cinder Bones. Good news, if he's got nothing, he can't attack. Because then he just dies. Unless he's going to try and fake us out somehow. Or kill our team. Yeah. So again, for like the 8th time. Okay. So it brings them to 4. Another question is, do we Trader's Roar and Conspire for the win? Or do we Runes of the Dais? Hopefully for the win. Let's actually... This may not have been the correct play. But we get to tap both of his creatures, and ideally would get in for 2. Or... Opponent gives us the GGs. Alright. So that was round 1. Took longer than I expected. Apparently had us next time. But we'll go ahead and reveal our 2 Runes of the Dais to him. Let him know that we were really just waiting on that land. So that land came at the perfect time. He had a Rite of Consumption. So he could have swung in and then killed us. So yeah, that was round 1. Come back for round 2. Alright, so here we are in round 2. Made it all the way. So this looks actually really good. So we're going to keep this one. A little land heavy, but our creatures are very solid. So not amazing. But we do get to drop this Tattermunge Maniac. So the Elsewhere Flask, that's the one that changes land type. So Mud Brawler Cohort. So that's probably what we're going to do. Might as well get in for 4 instead of just 2. So next turn, If he plays a blocker, we got the Bloodmark Mentor. Oof. So Silkbound Fairy is pretty annoying. We're going to lose our Tattermunge. Maniac. But it could be worse. Yeah, this is why Silkbind Fairy is very good. So he gets to attack for 1, and then next turn, before combat, tap probably Tattermunge Duo, which allows him to block Mudbrawler. And just with the Silkbind Fairy. So he can play other things and then go from there. But Intimidator Initiate is actually very good. So he's definitely going to tap down the Tattermunge. So this at least lets us get a little damage through. And safe hold Sentry. Untap, he gets +0/+2. Ugh, and more land. Well, now we don't have to attack, so he can just keep tapping this one down. We really don't want any more lands, if possible. Would be really nice. Crag Treads. Okay. So now we have some options. So you can tap down the Tattermunge, but if we do this, make Barrington not block, then he loses the safe hold, or he can ditch the safe hold. Yeah, so I think even though the Tattermunge would be probably better, I'd rather give it to the Mudbrawler. And I believe we will let's make it so the Barrington can't block. Now he can tap the Mud Brawler if he wants. And then we only get in for 3. We do have a double strike first strike guy, which is pretty nice. So yeah, he's just debating. So luckily we still kill it. Probably should have attacked with these two, had I been thinking about it. Oh my gosh. Well, our opponent got an Armored Ascension, which is very bad. Very bad for us. Yeah, so that's game. Wow, that was just great. Great drawing on our opponent's part. Yeah, so we definitely need to bring in that Gleeful Sabotage. And Sootwalkers over Mud Brawler Raiders. It makes the runes not as good. So I'm going to probably take one of these out. And add in Bark Shell Blessing. Take out a mountain. I'm actually cool with going to 15 lands just from all the low drops we got. Yeah. Try and run it like that. I mean, Armored Ascension is just gross. It is a gross card. When you have that many planes. And a flyer, which we do not have. Don't really have much defense against the flyer, so. Really just hoping to kill our opponent before he can get that fairy. And if not, then we're hoping to draw the 1 or 2 ways we have of killing it. Alright, so remove a counter from target permanent. So here don't like wasting Power of Fire, but I think it sets up for a few turns, and we don't want to lose Tattermunge anyway by attacking into stuff. So there's that. 3/4 Vigilance. Which is great for our opponent, very bad for us. Especially because we're stuck on 2 lands. Totally forgot to ping. So here, you can just play the Boggart Arsonist. This way we can essentially trade off. So another Armored Ascension. Well, that's just game over right there. I mean, we have no outs to this. We can take a look, but we... a Scar. Pretty much our one out is Trader's Roar. Which I guess if we drew... if we use Crimson Wisps... yeah, so we're dead next turn. Yeah, so just a turn too slow. Well, GG's to our opponent. That was, I mean, we honestly just lost to Armored Ascension. There's no other way to put it. We were destroyed by that card, and kudos to our opponent for being able to just draw it super quick both times and get it on something before we could really do anything about it. So that was Triple Shadowmoor. It's a pretty fun set. Obviously, cards like Armored Ascension and cards that care about land type are pretty good if you can build around them. I think we had a solid deck, but just not the draws we needed against something like that. So until next time, till next draft, keep playing Magic, and catch you on the flip side.